Hello, Lynda here from Physio. This video is going to help prepare your back for the stability and mobility it will need to get into some of the more strengthening exercises that we'll do later. So it's a beginner video. You just need a mat. And we're going to start standing first, just to warm up a little bit. This exercise my dad taught me. My father is very active, in his 70s, and he does this all the time. He takes breaks from when he's sitting, but you're just circling your hips. Thanks, Dad, for this one. But circling to the left and then circling to the right, not allowing your back to arch too much. You're trying to keep a pretty neutral alignment in the pelvis. And then few times in each direction. You're then going to take one arm, take your right arm straight up and take a side stretch. Not too big, just opening up the side body, and the left, opening up the side body and down. And then go ahead and interlace your fingers. Reach your arms in front of you, bend your knees and just round the back, feeling where you might have tight spots, where you might have loose spots, arms up to the ceiling, and just stretching the shoulders, bringing your arms down behind your back, and just stretching your chest here. And you can repeat that if it felt like you needed more, but we're going to come to our backs. Your feet are going to be about hip distance width apart, and preparing for a pelvic curl. If it bothers you to curl the pelvis and to curl the back, you can also just simply lift and hinge at the hips. So we're preparing by a breath into your back. You exhale, draw the abdominals into the spine, and you either hinge or articulate the spine up into one long hinge line, not pushing up from the lower spine, but trying to create one long line from your knees to your hips, your ribs, and your shoulders, and also making sure that your knees aren't going out to the sides. The knees stay in parallel. And you roll down the spine, one vertebrae at a time, and I'll go ahead and show a version hinging. So you're activating the abdominals, activating the muscles here around your glutes, and bridging the body up into one line and lowering back down. And again, we'll do 4 more. So a really good way to help the back, if we're talking about the lower back especially, a good way to help loosen the back is to tighten the muscles all around the back, meaning your glutes, your abdominals will sort of give the lower spine a break from too much pressure and too much compression, and back down. And I'll do one more now with the articulation, scooping and curling all the way up to the top. And from here we can reach our arms long if you feel comfortable and stable. Arms can go all the way overhead, and then you can just roll yourself back down all the way to the mat. Bringing your arms or hands behind the head, and now exhaling to lift. Just a little bit of a hover here. So you're not going into a crunch, but you're just hovering your head off the mat, trying to wake up those abdominals a little bit more, pressing your head into your hands, and then really draw the abdominals back further in to support the spine. That might be enough for you. If you want more, you can bring your right leg to table and lower it back down, and the right leg to table. And these can be done with your head down as well, with your arms down by your side. But really what you're doing is trying to keep a stable spine against this motion of the leg. And then we'll do 4 on the left. Again, head up or down. It's a little more challenging with the head off. It doesn't have to be high. Good. And then we can change. So you'll do the right and exhale, the left. Da-da. And press. If you want even more challenge, you can go up into a deeper curl. Again, I'll show it low and I'll show it down, but just trying not to let the legs move the spine. And both legs come down, knees and feet together. You're allowing your legs to rock to the right, getting a twist in the lower spine, keeping your shoulders on the mat, and center, letting the legs twist to the left and center, twisting right and left. And you can go a little bit quicker. And into the center, mobilizing the spine, now into a tail wag. So you're keeping the pelvis even on the mat, allowing your right hip to lift up towards your right shoulder. I call this a tail wag. One of my favorite ballet teachers, Christine Wright, includes this kind of motion patterning before all of her classes. And I find it's so good to just wake up the mobility in the low spine around your sacrum. And left and right and left. This can also be done, come into the center, with the legs in a tabletop position. It's more challenging, but you lift the right and then you tail wag left. So you swing the shins to the right, you swing the shins to the left. But what you really want to avoid is rotating. So you're keeping flat and going into a lateral flexion and into the center. From here, let's take our right knee into our chest, extend the left leg long, keeping it in line with your hips, in line with your sit bone. And to increase the stretch in the front of this left thigh, you can bring your chin towards your throat and lift up. You can open the knee out to the side and extend the arm up over your head. Bring it back into the center, into a figure 4 stretch. So oftentimes if your back is tight, we need more stretch and strength around the hips, which we'll cover in the next video. To increase this stretch, you want to press your knee and thigh open. A key on this is to keep this foot flexed. So my right foot is flexed and my ankle is all the way across my thigh here. You don't want to twist your knee. To even increase it more, you can pull that knee into your chest, that left knee or left thigh, and down. And taking the other side, left knee into your chest, extend the right leg long. And here you can flex the foot of this standing leg here. And you can open this left knee out to the side. And bringing it back into the center, into a figure 4 stretch. You bend this knee, you cross this all the way over, flexing this top foot, pressing that thigh open, trying to still keep weight evenly centered in the lower back and pelvis. Increasing the stretch by pulling that right thigh in. You may have done this before with your head off as well. That will increase the stretch. And down. And from here, let's roll over onto a quadruped position. So on all fours, you have your hands underneath your shoulders, your knees underneath your hips. And from here, find a neutral position. So the tendency might be to sink into the lower back. And I want you to draw your breath and your abdominals and your ribs in to support a natural spine. Again, let it all just go. And then exhale. You also want to feel a little bit of a connection of the knees moving towards each other. So they're not really touching, but there's some activation in the inner thighs here. So the whole body is aware of what you're doing. You drop the tailbone down, engage those abdominals to allow the body to move into a round position, and then send the tail out into extension and drawing in. And we'll just do this 4 times. And releasing back. And the tail. Good. And then you come back into the center. From here, you're going to extend the left leg long, activating the muscles in the back of the leg, and extend the right arm long if you can. Otherwise, just doing the legs. And just lift, not high, but just enough to engage the back of the leg and the muscles around your shoulder blades, and back in. Extending the right leg long and the left arm long, so it's a cross position, just reaching long, extending through the hip and down. So with just the leg here and down, and stretching just the leg and down. We'll show it with the arm and leg, and in and out. And then you want to imagine you're just kind of walking across the room, crawling across the room, and in, and 4 more. 3, 2, and in. From here, you're going to go into a rest position or child's pose as far as you can go. So some people can't sit back on their knees, but you can still enjoy a stretch for the lower spine. So what you would do is go into a little bit of lumbar flexion, and then just reach as far back as you can go with your body, and stretching your arms in the opposite direction. You can get into the sides of the back more if you shift your hips to the right and walk your hands over to the left. Breathing and exhaling out and back into the center. Shift the hips over to the left. I'll go a little bit further this time and just reaching. And back into the center. And then from here, we're going to go on to prone position, onto your abdominals, laying on your abdominals and taking the hands underneath your forehead. Gliding the shoulders down, away from your ears, allowing those elbows to slide towards you, and just lifting your chest up, away from your arms. So what this is doing is just activating the muscles in the upper spine to give the lower spine a break. Gliding the shoulders away from your ears, reaching out through the crown of your head and just peeking your chest up off the mat and lowering back down. And again, lengthening up and out, waking up the upper back and down. Another version of this, hands are wider than your shoulders. The wrists are in line with the tops of the shoulders. You still initiate from the very crown of your head. So you're reaching out, drawing the navel in to the spine and just lifting, keeping the elbows on the mat. The feeling, the sensation is as if you were doing this on the mat, like you're trying to pull yourself across the room and down. And you can allow your legs to separate so that your abdominals can lift and the pelvis can relax, reaching out through the crown of your head, lifting up and lowering down. 2 more, reaching up And last one, lift up. And down. Good. And from here, you can take your hands underneath you. Take another little rest position here. And then just roll yourself all the way up to sitting. So the best thing you can do for your back is move. So I find it, we can focus so much on the lower back itself, but when you really start strengthening and stretching the muscles that support your back, which are your hips and your abdominals and the whole structure, that's when you'll really see a big change. So we'll see you next time.